Okay, so this is the first video for the side-eye shawl knit along. We're going to start pretty much at the beginning of the pattern um, because I want to make sure that even what seems to me to be the simplest stitch, which is the knit front and back, maybe that's something that some people will want a refresher on. So also something to note right off the top is that you need to weigh your yarn and make a note of what that weight is before you start even casting on. And if you bought your yarn from me, I did weigh it for you and I recorded that weight on your ball band. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump ahead to row 13. It's going to have the same increase that you start on row 3, the knit front and back, but I'm starting on row 13 just so you don't have to watch me, knit 12 rows before we move on to the next increase in the pattern. Okay, so here we go, row 13. We're on the right side of the fabric, and we're gonna I'm using a worsted weight yarn here just because it's a little bit thicker, hopefully easier to see. So to begin on row 13, we're gonna go ahead, just as the pattern says, and work 2 knit stitches. So there's 1 and 2. Now the next stitch is that knit front and back increase. So we're going to be working into this next stitch on the needle. To do a knit front and back, you're going to go in the front, wrap your yarn around and pull through as if to knit. You're not going to pull it off though. So see how that stitch is staying right on there? What we're going to do is come around and knit into the back. So I've got my needle through there, I'm going to bring the yarn around, pull it through, and then it can come off. So where there were 3 stitches before, we've increased 1 right there. To finish off row 13, we're going to knit 4 more stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then that abbreviation, the SL2WYIF, stands for slip 2 with yarn in front. So to do that, you're simply going to bring your working yarn between the needles to the front as if you were to purl. So it's there, and then we're going to slip those next 2 stitches purlwise. And when you're slipping stitches, you always slip them purlwise unless the pattern tells you otherwise. Okay, so there's 2 and then off. That's the end of our row. We're going to flip around, quickly finish row 14. It's the wrong side, and we're going to knit 8 across. And then do that same slip 2 with yarn in front at the end of the row. And the reason we're doing that slip 2 with yarn in front is that it gives you that really pretty I-cord edging. And there it is. Bring the yarn to the front, slip 2. And here you can see that I-cord detail. It gives that really pretty sort of elongated stitch. Okay, and so we are going to move on to row 15, which is going to be back on the right side of the yarn again, or right side of the fabric. And we are going to need a marker for this row. So you can use any kind of marker that you have. I typically use a little bit of thread. I do a little loop and then just use that as my marker. They're easy to lose and easy to replace. So what we're going to do on row 15 is start out with knitting 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And at this point, we are going to place a marker. So slip that right off. And our next increase is going to be a make 1 right. And to do a make 1 right, all you need to do is, you see how that bar is there right between the 2 stitches? A make one right is an increase that uses that bar. With the make one right, you always enter from the rear using your left hand needle. So I'm going to come in behind, pick up that little bar, and this can be a bit tricky. So what I like to do is sort of scooch that little bit of yarn together, pinch it with my finger, and then you're going to come into the front and knit. And that is going to be your make one increase. So on row 15, you're going to place another marker there. I don't have one ready, so I'm just going to pretend I'm doing that. And then you're going to knit 3. And then again, slip 2 with yarn in front. So we're bringing that yarn to the front again, slipping 2 off. Okay, and so you're going to continue doing this all the way up to row 35, and then I'm going to start the next video on row 36.